Immediately, as soon as we learned that this tanker had been seized, we made an urgent appeal to the American side. Our primary concern was to secure the release of our citizens. There are two of them, along with citizens from Ukraine, Georgia, and India. We were assured, as a matter of fact, either on that very same day or the following morning, the decision for their release was made at the highest level. But unfortunately, the subsequent days have shown that this decision is not being implemented. Africa is already beginning to experience a second awakening, growing realization that true economic independence has not yet arrived with political independence. And through neocolonial methods, Africa continues to be exploited, and former colonial powers, having politically granted independence to their former colonies, still continue to live at their expense. This realization is now becoming deeply entrenched across the African continent. We experience this on a daily basis through our numerous interactions with African nations. This means that the new centers of growth...
Oh, I see.
They reflect an objective historical process. On the agenda is a dialogue about how to bring order to this multipolarity. This will take a considerable amount of time. Some say, and I understand what they're referring to, perhaps an entire historical epoch. But this process is inevitable. And the profound realization that this situation is indeed being acknowledged and understood by all the principal international players is further underscored and confirmed, notably by the recent initiative put forth by Donald Trump regarding the establishment of a dedicated Council for Peace. We have only just recently been presented with some concrete proposals, a draft of the charter for this particular structure, and so on and so forth. However, this initiative reflects the understanding by the United States that even they, with their political foreign policy philosophy, recognize the necessity of assembling a group of countries that will cooperate with you in one way or another. But I assure you that the administration of Donald Trump, despite all of the actions that are currently being widely discussed throughout the entire world, is an administration of pragmatists, and she understands the necessity not merely to unite a great many nations under its leadership, but also to fully consider their legitimate interests. I must emphasize again that such a position, the readiness and understanding of the need to fully take into account a partner's interests, is fully demonstrated in the approaches of Donald Trump's administration to the Ukrainian settlement. The only Western country that is ready. We need to address the fundamental task of eliminating the root causes of this conflict. Can we even resuscitate it? Well, I really don't know how much resuscitation is truly possible in this particular case, because the OSCE has fallen so incredibly low that it has reached an unacceptable point. The organization, which was originally founded on the principles of equality and consensus, has completely transformed into a mere instrument that the West, leveraging its majority, weaponizes daily against the Russian Federation. And our position regarding the OSCE is that we continue to participate there, but not because we harbor any hopes or illusions in the current situation. Any hopes are illusions, but simply because we want to support those OSCE participating states who still retain common sense. There are quite a few of them. In addition to our colleagues from the CIS countries, we also find them in Hungary and in Slovakia, and indeed in a whole range of other Western nations. Such healthy forces truly do exist. Therefore, we will continue to maintain our contacts with them and do our utmost to prevent the OSCE from effectively burying itself. There is hope. When it comes to the matter of the current General Secretary,
the representative of Turkey, Mr. Sinirlioglu.
He is an experienced diplomat and he fully understands the truly catastrophic, without exaggeration, situation he inherited from the head of this organization's executive body. I don't know if it will find a place in the future structures of Eurasian security, the greater Eurasian partnership. I'm not sure. If for no other reason than the fact that the OSCE, as you well know, is a Euro-Atlantic structure. And speaking of what we are discussing now, I just want to emphasize that the Euro-Atlantic concept for ensuring security and cooperation has discredited itself. As for Serbia's oil industry, if the agreement announced yesterday had been unprofitable for the Russian side, including Gazprom, it would not have been reached. It is absolutely clear and evident to everyone. And the agreement in the situation that has now developed in Serbia is mutually beneficial. President Vučić, incidentally, also spoke about this very topic when he arrived in Davos and was asked specifically about it. More broadly, are you asking if an agreement or some forms of cooperation between Russia and the US in the Balkans is possible? We are open to interaction with everyone. In Alaska, in Anchorage, on August 15th of this year, we accepted, President Putin has spoken about this publicly many times, we accepted the proposals that Washington put forward. On the eve of the meeting in Alaska, and we still hope that these understandings fully retain their validity, although we see how literally hysterical the reaction is. Europe and Zelensky, along with his entire team, are actively trying to dislodge the United States from its current stance and are attempting once again to impose their own specific concepts, including, most importantly, a 60-day or perhaps even a perpetual ceasefire agreement. It's clear that the Ukrainian side is in a very difficult situation on the front line. And not just on the front line, but also in politics. In the realm of political life in Kyiv, the numerous corruption scandals have completely overshadowed many other important processes. But to allow the Kyiv regime to be rearmed yet again and to give it the chance to catch its breath and then once more launch an attack on the Russian Federation, acting as a mere instrument for the frenzied Western Europeans. Of course, we simply cannot afford such a luxury. And now in Davos today and tomorrow, certain meetings have been announced where they will once again attempt to pressure President Trump into adopting approaches that have already completely discredited themselves and utterly failed over the past few years. But the central point in all of this is that right now, when Europe is talking about guarantees, about resolving the Ukrainian crisis, they are saying that we need to stop the war as soon as possible and at the same time agree on security guarantees for Ukraine. Well, I mean, for what will be left of Ukraine. And what does this mean? I've already told you that in Europe, conversations have started that we need to, because Americans are unreliable.
Greenland has provided confirmation of this.
It is imperative that we urgently create a security system in Europe without the US, but with Ukraine. These security guarantees, which our European colleagues speak of with such noble arrogance, promoting their supposed contribution to the interests of global peace. These security guarantees are intended for the current Kiev Nazi regime. We must not forget that.
Nobody is talking about that.
How should life be structured in the territory that will remain under Ukrainian control? There is no mention whatsoever regarding the restoration of rights for Russian-speaking people, for Russians. Not a word about the removal of the ban on the use of the Russian language in all areas of life, regarding the lifting of the prohibition on the activities of the Ukrainian Canonical Orthodox Church. There is absolutely nothing. These tests were contained in Donald Trump's first proposal, which is famously known as the 28 or 27-point plan. It outlined the need to resolve issues concerning both the Russian language and the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. Regarding the subsequent materials that we have seen, however, we have not received any truly recent documents as a result of those particular negotiations that were conducted by the United States, Ukraine, and Europe over the course of the last couple of weeks. Immediately, as soon as we learned that this tanker had been seized, we made an urgent appeal to the American side. Our primary concern was to secure the release of our citizens. There are two of them, along with citizens from Ukraine, Georgia, and India.
We were assured.
As a matter of fact, either on that very same day or the following morning, the decision for their release was made at the highest level. But unfortunately, the subsequent days have shown that this decision is not being implemented. We expect our American colleagues to fulfill their promise, which, as I have already stated, was indeed conveyed to us. But this whole incident involving the seizure of tankers in violation of international law on the open sea, based on suspicions that do not fit the list of criteria for detaining vessels, the criteria contained within the International Convention on the Law of the Sea are, of course, a significant cause for concern. And this is also an example of actions that subject international law to the test. We are not saying that those norms which are in the Convention on the Law of the Sea of 1982 are eternal. But yes, of course, life has changed. More than 50 years have passed since then. But if that's the case, then we need to sit down and negotiate how to behave in the open sea, how to behave in special economic zones. We are ready for this, and I hope there will be an understanding that this is simply necessary.